Wilton is a nice place to live, to raise a family, to do business. It's still a small New England town with roots going back 2 centuries and more. Respect for tradition is built into its houses and churches. This is what has brought and is still bringing families here. Wilton has grown. All towns have. Today we number more than 17,000 people. Our aim has been to preserve the spirit even as times change, and change they have. More people mean more cars and also trucks to service our lives. Route 7, our main artery, is clogged with traffic. Volume on state highways in Wilton more than doubled, in some places even tripled between 1960 and 1990. Traffic growth has far exceeded population growth. In 1995, the Connecticut Department of Transportation counted between 28 and 35,000 vehicles per day on Route 7, and it predicts an increase to at least 45,000 vehicles by the year 2015. This is much more than Wilton's natural growth. It's the product of change. 40 years ago, commuting meant Wiltonians taking the train to New York. Today, as corporate headquarters and large business have moved to Fairfield County, Wilton is the destination of commuters from towns 20 miles away. Even more, thousands drive back and forth through Wilton each day to and from work in Westport, Norwalk, Stamford, and beyond. They have no other reason to be here, and they have no choice. Mass transit effectively doesn't exist. The number of Danbury area residents commuting to work in the combined Norwalk-Stamford area has increased enormously in the last 20 years, almost 300%. Wilton's police chief, Toscano, reports that 9 out of 10 traffic violations involve out-of-town vehicles. To avoid the congestion on Route 7, travelers have spilled out across Wilton. The 2 other major north-south roads, Belden Hill and Chestnut Hill, have seen rush-hour traffic jams. Smaller roads feel it as drivers look for shortcuts. The Wilton Police Department recently counted 11,241 vehicles on Belden Hill in a single 24-hour period. On Drummond Hill, town government has turned to surgery, widening and straightening, quote, improving the road, ravaging a beautiful piece of old Wilton. The rising tide of traffic has not come as a surprise. 40 years ago, the Department of Transportation recognized that traffic growth would soon far exceed the capacity of Route 7. It decided to meet the problem by constructing a new Route 7, an expressway, as part of the interstate highway system from Norwalk to Danbury. The state bought the right-of-way, a corridor of 600 acres through the town. It is still state property, off the tax rolls of Wilton, and it remains earmarked for the original purpose. The Department of Transportation maintains to this day that the expressway is the best way to go. What stopped it from ever being built was a lawsuit brought by some citizens who believed that an expressway would damage the environment and ruin Wilton. The town government's decision at first was to do nothing at all, but as traffic increased, the elected officials and the state agreed to begin widening existing Route 7. The first step taken was in South Wilton. The next is to be from Route 33, the Westport Road, through the center of town, ending at Olmsted Hill. It's a move that does not solve, but only compounds the problem of saving what we can of Wilton. The proposed plan more than doubles the width of the present road. High Ridge Road in Stamford serves as a horrible example of what can happen. Wilton would then have its own monstrosity cutting through the heart of town, removing landmarks and more of the remaining trees and stone walls. The road would certainly attract trucks. Climbing the hill north from Wilton Center, starting and stopping at the 6 additional traffic lights to be installed, promises a cloud of pollution worse than anything the town has yet suffered. In addition, the Wilton Conservation Commission warns of what it calls the footprint of disturbance the project would leave, including environmental damage caused by the runoff from this broad, oil-soaked belt of asphalt. The four-lane traffic of the widened Route 7, a stretch 1.5 miles long, would suddenly be crammed back into the existing two-lane road. The next step would obviously have to be to continue the widening, making travel on Route 7 next to impossible for the foreseeable future. If Wilton were located 10 miles east or 10 miles west, it would not have this trouble. But here we are on the main route north, and every projection says the traffic will get worse. A widened Route 7 couldn't hold it. Going ahead with the widening project would be only a makeshift. At the end of the day, it would still be necessary to build the expressway. The Route 7 expressway will also affect the environment. However, when compared to the property and business destruction caused by widening the present road, the disruption to the town during the construction phase, the real risk of large commercial development, and the resulting change in the rural town character, it is certainly the lesser of two evils.
But the truth of the matter is that everyone wants to solve the transportation problem, the traffic problem that is only getting worse and worse. And now we have a situation where the state is out there widening the existing Route 7, which I think personally is a disaster.